What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Gerald here with your weather forecast. We're all staying safe and dry out there because we do have a dangerous night ahead for a lot of us through the Mississippi River Valley Delta area, especially through areas like Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, Memphis, and plenty other places tonight in the South that have a pretty big risk of some big-time severe weather. So that's going to be the main focus of today's video. I'm going to break that threat down for you, and then we're also going to talk about this weekend and what we can expect, and then even going into the beginning of next week. So again, with all that said, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so, and also hit that like button if you haven't, or if you like the video, I should say. And then also share the video with anyone you know in kind of these areas that are under the gun for that severe weather tonight, and just make sure that they are staying safe and getting the latest warnings. So let's go ahead and get right into the forecast. We'll start off with radar here, and you can see this system here unfolding. You can already see we have this line of storms back here through Texas and Arkansas. Overnight tonight, that is going to continue to push eastbound, and with it bringing the threat of tornadoes, hail, and strong winds, but we definitely have more of a tornado threat today than we did yesterday, especially through this kind of area here, through Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, over towards Little Rock, and back towards Monroe and Shreveport. So that could definitely be a hot spot tonight as the system continues to unfold. Taking a look at satellite here, you can see these clouds in the storm system. One thing you can actually notice on satellite is look at these clouds down here coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, and then you also have these clouds pushing out of Texas. So you can easily see the wind shear we're working with here just on satellite here into sections of Arkansas and Louisiana. And with that, you're getting that turning of the winds, and with that, the atmosphere begins to rotate, and that helps to cause those tornadic conditions out there. So looking at those hazards, we do have a tornado watch already here for sections of the Arklatex. I know a lot of people don't like calling it that, but that's kind of what it is through this region here. That's right where we have the tornado watch right now, but we also have plenty of flash flood watches and flood warnings already ongoing here along the Ohio River, and that's for a ton of rain we're going to see tonight. We also do have some winter weather advisories and winter storm watches up for the UP of Michigan and the Chicago area, as well as Green Bay for some snow we're going to get out of this thing. And then all these beige colors here are wind advisories. As this thing kind of pushes on through, you're going to get some pretty big time winds with it as well. So taking a look at tonight's temperatures real quick, a really warm night here for the southeast because, again, we are going to have that warm air continuing to advect northward ahead of this front, and that's going to continue to keep those conditions warm and muggy, and we've had some really strong winds today coming out of the south here in the southeast, and that has helped to really warm up the atmosphere, and that's going to also help to cause those severe storms for those of you that see them overnight tonight. Getting into tomorrow, another warm day. Don't think that because, these storms clear through, it's all of a sudden going to get a lot colder. It's still going to be really warm tomorrow because there's not really much cold air behind this system. Another very warm springtime day, even probably warmer than today for many of us here throughout the southern half of the country, and especially down here in Florida, you could get up into the 90s tomorrow. So if maybe you're on spring break there, or if you live in Florida, definitely some nice beach weather even tomorrow, potentially, at least in terms of temperatures. So now getting into the severe weather threat. Again, that big bullseye is this area of red here on the map indicating we have a moderate risk, and that's the second highest risk here that the Storm Prediction Center can issue. So that tells us we have that chance of very dangerous weather overnight tonight. But even if you're in these kind of orange and yellow areas, don't be caught off guard because you're still also under the gun for that severe weather. And that stretches again all the way here from kind of Shreveport all the way back over towards Huntsville, Alabama tonight is where we're going to see those storms. They get as far north even potentially as Louisville and Cincinnati could maybe even see some severe storms tonight. But luckily this line of storms does look to kind of weaken as it continues to get further east here and run over kind of the Appalachian mountain chain. And now looking at tomorrow's severe weather threat, we do have kind of two areas, one up here through Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Not expecting too much out of that, but we also have another area here through kind of coastal South Carolina, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle, where if we could get some storms to fire and really grow, there's definitely some ingredients there to work with to become severe. And then that comes again on Sunday as we get another kind of wave of moisture. We could get some severe storms down here along the I-10 corridor, but right now that threat doesn't look off the charts. So going ahead and running through this forecast with you, again, this is that line of storms. I want you to watch as this evolves, and then another story here to the north of this is this big area of rain that is going to continue to train over the Ohio River area. And that's kind of the big story here to look at on this map as we bring this ahead into time. Also, your time here is up here in the top right of your screen, so you can have a better idea of exactly what time you're looking at here. So moving this ahead, as we get into tonight, right about the time the sun sets is whenever I think we're really going to begin to kick off here with the chance of this very strong line of storms. But also, you notice a couple of these kind of individual cells here try to pop out in front of that line, and those are the ones we're going to have to watch for potentially strong, damaging tornadoes to form with. And then as we continue to go overnight, this is now getting into about midnight here. This looks to turn into more of a linear storm threat, but I tell you, looking at this is going to pack quite a punch. I want you to notice here how some of these are kind of really bowed out like this. That indicates very strong winds. So definitely here through Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, through central Tennessee, and northern Alabama, we could get some crazy straight line winds out of this thing. And then as we go through the overnight, that continues. So this is about 3 a.m. moving through Huntsville, eventually through Knoxville, and then in the early morning hours moving through Atlanta, eventually Asheville, Greenville, Spartanburg getting in on that action as well during tomorrow morning. And then as we get about I'd say 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you notice we have a much more broken up line of storms as this begins to move through the Piedmont of the Carolinas, and that severe threat should be much lower as well with this. But as we get into tomorrow afternoon, we'll have to watch for that threat as some of these storms left over could refire and definitely become strong here into the coastal plain of the Carolinas, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. So I definitely have my eyes on some of these with plenty of ingredients left over. We'll have to watch for those as they could definitely become severe, and I wouldn't even be surprised that a tornado or two could be produced out of those if the conditions are right. So don't let your guard down into the coastal Carolinas tomorrow, as well as southern Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. But the good news is, eventually, as we get through Saturday and those last storms move through, we have much nicer weather in store for Saturday night before eventually getting into later Sunday. I think we get another round of rain to work with. Sorry. So moving this ahead, the other side of this storm, as you can see, going into early tomorrow morning, we'll have that line of storms moving through the southeast, and that a lot of rain through the Ohio River Valley. But we'll also get some snow here through Chicago, northern Michigan rather, and much of southern and eastern Wisconsin as well, getting in on that snow. And some of us could get half a foot to a foot of snow out of this thing. And then Saturday afternoon looks like a very rainy, just kind of raw day for much of the Northeast and through the Midwest. And that continues through Saturday evening, as we could get some snow up there into sections of Maine and the higher terrains of New Hampshire and Vermont. But most of us in the Northeast looks like mainly rain with the system, before then finally working its way out by the time we get into Sunday afternoon. And overall, much nicer weather up here into the northern tier of the country. But then some rain shower chances return Sunday afternoon and evening to the south. So while we're clearing up here in the northern section of the country on Sunday, we're just getting another round of showers and storms here into the south. And again, some of those could be severe here along the I-10 corridor. We'll watch that on Sunday for sure. But that looks to become more of just a kind of heavy rainfall threat by the time it works through kind of higher latitudes there and further north into sections of North Georgia and the Carolinas, where we could get some pretty heavy rain overnight Sunday and into Monday. And then going through early next week, that pattern looks to continue of just very showery, thundery kind of weather here throughout the southeast for much of the first half of next week, before we then get maybe some question marks on another big-time storm system during the middle and second half of next week. But that's just a quick summary, really, for now, just to give you a general idea of what we're working with here in the medium to long term. So the other big story here, again, is that flooding. And today we have a moderate risk as well of flooding here into these areas in the red. And again, that is the second highest possible we can have. So if you're under those flash flood watches, make sure you definitely have a way overnight to get those warnings if a flash flood warning is issued, especially if you live in one of those places that are kind of flood prone. So, if you're used to flooding, it's not going to be one of those nights that really kicks up again. And then, or let me talk about this first, sorry. And the main reason for that, rather, is how much rain we're getting. So right here into sections of northern Arkansas, western Tennessee, southwestern Kentucky, southeastern Missouri here, we're looking at 3 to 5 inches of rain possible. And this is just within the next 24 hours. So, a lot of this is going to come down in a very short period of time. It's going to come down very hard and heavy as well. So that's why we have those flash flood watches up for those areas. Now talking about the snow again, up here, especially into northern Michigan, we could get more than half a foot of snow. But back here towards Chicago, it's kind of tough. Gary, Indiana, looks like really not too much. But as you get closer to the Wisconsin border, you could be looking at 3 to 5 inches of snow out of this, and that'll be pretty common here along the eastern shores of Wisconsin here on the Great Lakes. So now talking about temperatures again, we've had a very warm day today. I think tomorrow again we get another really nice warm day, as indicated by these red temperatures here through much of the southeast. But as we continue to go through the second half of this weekend, even Sunday looks relatively warm, although some of those showers and storms will definitely help to kind of bring down the temperatures there for those of us that see the heavier precipitation. And that kind of is a general, trend to watch for during the beginning part of next week, as well as slightly above average, but very showery here into the south, although definitely drier the further north you go, before eventually, again, I think we get another kind of storm system next week that will eventually bring in some colder air with it here to the eastern half of the country, and will return to more average temperatures for late March. So again, with all that said, if I can get to the right screen here, well, I guess that screen went away, so we'll go to this one. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure you're staying safe tonight. Again, make sure you have a way to get those warnings if you're in kind of that severe weather threat area. Same for the flash flooding threat area. And, let me know what you all are seeing out there. And if you see any kind of crazy storms, definitely let me know in the comments, or maybe tag me in something on Twitter if you have Twitter, and let me know what you're seeing out there. But with all that said, hope you all have a great rest of your day. And quick reminder as well here at the end, again, I won't have a video on Saturday, which is tomorrow, so I will see you all again on Sunday.